Hello there, and thanks for joining us on the midweek edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Kemi Foladiemo. Today on the program, Governor Akeredolu floors Jegede as Supreme Court upholds the APC's victory in Ondo State's governorship election. Plus, farmers in Abuja area lament impact of insecurity heard as attacks on production, just as bandits abduct 7 naval officers in Edo State. And later on the show, cholera deaths rise to 529 in 18 Nigerian states as only Bauchi has the WHO vaccine. I'll be hanging out today with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Olabisideji Folutle. Good evening, sirs. And madam, it's good to have you on the program.
Thank you.
Welcome. Welcome.
Good evening.
And I like your red dress.
Thank you, sir.
And the air is beautiful.
You have a touch of red.
Absolutely. We are twinning.
It's conspiratorial.
We are twinning. We are twinning. Indeed, we have a big package for you on the program, so you're most welcome. Journalist Hangout starts now. After about 9 months of legal fireworks, the ghost of the October the 20th, 2020 governorship election in Ondo State is finally buried. Governor Rotimi Akeredolu and his party, the All Progressives Congress, followed their victories at the lower tribunal and the Court of Appeal with the ultimate triumph at the Supreme Court. In a 4-3 judgment, the 7-justice panel of the Apex Court sounded the death knell on the case by dismissing the appeal filed by the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, and its candidate Jegede against the victory of Mr. Akeredolu for lack of competence. Now, this was in line with BKO and others who stressed when the appeal court's verdict on the matter was discussed on the program last month.
The appeal court agreed. If they agreed with that, that's why they said, okay, this case is partially allowed and partially dismissed.
It could be tricky.
It is very tricky. It's a technicality. And I think it gives an opportunity for the Supreme Court, to make a final decision on it, which is going to be a kind of precedent.
If Malabuni was included in this matter, would have been saying another thing completely today. But this is luck. I want to say this is luck, but
This will most likely serve as a lesson to the APC, because clearly the appellants did not join Governor Mai Malabuni in this suit. If they had joined Governor Mai Malabuni in this suit, maybe the outcome would have been different. Because the appeal courts affirmed that Mai Malabuni, who was cited in the by the appellant as someone who was occupying 2 positions, you did not join him in the suit. So for not joining him in the suit, the appeal court was the opinion that he did not get fair hearing. The appeal court was also of the opinion that Governor Akeredolu could not be vicariously liable
For that,
because, again,
crisis within the APC.
Mai Malabuni didn't get a chance to defend himself. These are technical issues in law, but they are also very valid issues. If you fail to join someone in a matter like this, and you want judgment entered against that person, it's not going to happen. Jegede was not contesting the fact that he lost the election. He was more interested in the internal affairs of the APC.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, the big error that I think that they have made, that the Jegede and his team made, was that Mai Malabuni was not joined in this suit. And when you make that kind of critical error. You've made it easy for your opponent to claim victory.
Exactly.
And at the level of the Supreme Court, I don't think that they can lead evidence that they did not bring up during the appeal. I mean, in the trial court.
Exactly.
All right, and so here we are now. The Supreme Court has spoken, and this is the final decision. BKO, how do you react to this? Yes, you predicted that this would be the core issues before the panel, and the panel has the Supreme Court has so ruled.
Yes, as I said the last time we discussed this matter, I did not expect the Supreme Court to take a decision outside of the facts laid before the appeal court. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened, because Mai Mala Buni was not joined in this matter. That was a fatal error on the part of Jegede and his team. The outcome would most likely have been different if he was joined, because when you fail to join him, you giving him no chance to defend himself. And you are trying to pin all of this on the fact that Mai Mala Buni contravened Section 183 of the Constitution by holding two positions. By the letters of the Constitution, Mai Mala Buni is not permitted to act in the position of acting chairman of the APC. That is clear. It's a happy day for the APC. And I know that Governor Akeredolu and his team had sleepless nights. One, they didn't even know those who would be on the panel. So they were, until the very last minute, the members of the panel were made known. So they were then in two minds, what will happen, and they knew that that Section 183 could bite the party. But the pattern is always that the facts laid before the lower courts are what the Supreme Court uses to come up with its judgment. So those facts were used by the Supreme Court because the majority judgment, yes, it's 4-3, but the majority judgment is deemed as the judgment of the Supreme Court. We had, let me go to the judges, the way they voted. Justice Mary Peter Odili, as the presiding judge, voted for Jegede, supported Jegede's position. She wanted the appeal to succeed. Justice Ejembi Eko also wanted the appeal to succeed. Justice Ibrahim Musa Saulawa wanted Jegede's appeal to be accepted. And then we had Justice M.L. Garuba for Akeredolu, Justice Inyang Okoro for Akeredolu, Justice Emmanuel Akemaye Ajim for Akeredolu, and last but not the least, Justice Tijani Abubakar for Akeredolu. It was I see it as a good thing that we had this kind of judgment. It doesn't always happen for Supreme Court judges to go against one another in the manner that they have done. But I think it's good for the system if occasionally we have this kind of dissenting judgments. And as I said, the APC were very lucky. On another day, they would have lost this case.
All right. I will get back to you on that tail end of your initial remarks. But PC, how do you react? It was rather close, looking at the margin between or among the 7 justices of the Supreme Court. And for many observers before that judgment was delivered, it was a novel decision. You know, the fact that the crucial issues in this particular petition, seen as a governor who is also acting as the head of a major political party. But how do you view this decision?
Well, let me first of all congratulate Governor Akeredolu for his victory. You know, at least is there, otherwise it will have been removed. But I think, as Babajide rightly pointed out, the only reason why Governor Akeredolu is still occupying his seat now is because the Supreme Court decided to to use a technical issue to, throw out Jegede's suit. And from what Justice Odili said, you can see that it's not as if it was smooth. You can have an idea of what could have transpired even among these justices of the Federation, in the fact that Justice Odili said she does not see any reason why Buni should be, his name should be stated, while APC as a party is already included in that suit. And that it's like, it's almost normal for you to see APC and its acting chairman as one. So now removing him from the party, that is what she was opposed to, and all the other judges. So, and
were on her side.
On her side. So you can see that really it's very close to call, but thank God that he got it right. I think it's also a good lesson for whoever is taking anybody to court these days. Jegede himself being a lawyer, maybe to actually package their cases very well. Yes. Take care of all the details. The detail is the point now. Yes. If they had been more detailed,
the minutest details,
yes, I'm sure that APC wouldn't have gone away with this.
The minutest details indeed. And of course, once again on observers, because Mr. Jegede and his legal team left the initial issues of allegations of voter intimidation, malpractices and the like, and they focused on the
pre-election matter.
Yes. But if we look at the angle of the dissenting judges, they said the principal had already been sued. Mr. May Malabuni was only an agent, and seeing as the party in itself had been sued ab initio, why should the acting national chairman be sued? And of course not forgetting the immunity that he enjoys if he had been sued in his capacity as governor.
Oh, yes, you have immunity, but the Constitution is clear. The Constitution is clear. You can't occupy those two positions. I'm telling you, if they had made him a party to the suit, we've seen many cases lost because the plaintiff failed to make someone critical to a case party to the case. So party to the suit. In this case, if they had made May Malabuni, because it's not APC that is the issue now. It's May Malabuni, the agent of APC, that is the issue. And I think one of the judges even argued that, look, you can brush May Mala aside, but you can't brush APC aside. So the issue then is, can we then punish one for the other? That was an issue for those judges to decide. But again, since you did not, because I think one of the judges was of the view that, look, if you had joined May Malabuni, he could have come to court to say, look, I didn't even sign any of these letters, any of these documents, which will have made Jegede's case easier. You get the point that I'm making? It will have made this case easier. But you didn't join him in the suit. So he had no chance to defend himself.
Because that way, the liability or otherwise would have been on the party if he had exonerated himself.
Yes, but you didn't give any room for that to happen. So he was not invited to court to come and clear his name or anything, because that fatal error was made. And we talked about it when the lower court gave its judgment that, look, you cannot make this kind of mistake. You join both Mai Mala and the party, because he is the individual who cannot occupy two positions, not the party. It is the individual that the Constitution talks about. So you can't then leave out that individual and expect that the effect of the words of the Constitution will then take its toll.
But the Constitution also says that he cannot become governor, as Mr. Akeredolu cannot become governor if he's not sponsored by the party. But in this case now, these are two different issues.
Yeah, then who signs his nomination letter? Yeah, no, the nomination form. So that is the role of the chairman and the secretary
on behalf of
the party, because parties are inanimate entities. Individuals run parties. We can't run away from that. Mai Mala, Bune and co are running the party today. The lesson, as I've said earlier, is APC must not always think that they can get away with illegalities. They've paid in the past for this, but you will see that consistently the power people within the party always think that they can get away with many things, until the courts now come and say, no, you can't do that. And when the court takes its decisions, they will start abusing the judiciary. No, you must do what is right, follow the law. At every stage, whether at nomination stage, level of primaries, in your conduct, follow the law. APC will have been embarrassed some years back, if not for our erudite vice president. At that meeting, when they decided that, oh, let Baba, the former national chairman of the party, Oyegun, let him continue. When his constitutionally assigned term had ended, you wanted him to continue? It was the VP that said no. If they took us to court, we will lose any election that we win. As long as he's with this man outside in charge, we will lose. Because whatever steps he took will be deemed illegal. And the president supported the VP against 4 governors, including governors who did not know anything about the law. They were arguing. But the president supported the VP, and the party was saved that embarrassment. Today again, the party has had the good fortune of being saved by the fact that the PDP people didn't do their own work well. How many times can you be lucky? How many lives? It
was even an issue in the Court of Appeal.
Yes.
It was an issue in the Court of Appeal.
At that time, there was nothing they could do anymore.
Even at that time.
Now, how many lives does a cat have? So they've got to learn from this, because I know there will be steps in future that will also go against the Constitution.
BKO, let's invite Olushola Julius. He's on now from Ibadan. You're welcome. Please join the conversation.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Olushola Julius from Ibadan, Oyo State Capital. BKO, good evening, sir. Good evening. And madam, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Now, honestly, I want to congratulate Governor Akeredolu for that victory that has been given to him by the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And as well, I want to congratulate Jegede. He should not feel depressed. He can as well try another day. But just the way people are trying to analyze in the house over there, now that proper documentation should be adhered to, and parties as well should observe necessary rules and regulations.
Yes.
So that things will go the other way. Now that the final judgment has been placed on the table of APC, Governor Akeredolu should be magnanimous in victory and make sure that the people of Ondo State enjoy and receive good and genuine dividends of democracy.
Thank you, Mr. Julius.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, you've said that this is also a lesson for would-be members of the public who want to bring matters to the courts, now especially matters that are these contentious. But for the party itself, you know, APC, VKO has given his own position, but for the party, we are gradually entering into an active election season. So what are your thoughts on what the party should be doing? Because like has been established, the Court of Appeal talked about it, but their hands were tied. They were working with what the petitioner presented, which is also what you harped on earlier. But for the party, where do you see this going?
First of all, let me say that I think this is good development. The fact that Jegede left all the other issues, all the other electoral matters, and went to the pre-electoral issue, and it got us this far, to the point that the dissent in the Supreme Court could be 4-3, which is quite tight. Now, I think our politicians and the political parties have been very reckless. They do so many things that they don't just have respect for the rule of law. And they just assume that probably if they are the ruling party, and I'm referring to the two prominent political parties in this country now, both PDP or APC, and APC, whichever one of them is in power, either at the state level or the national level, you will see they have this arrogance that they can always get away with anything, and they don't just have respect for any rules and regulations. INEC will tell them, file your nomination within so and so period of time. They will go against that time. They will not. And maybe 2 days or 3 days after, they begin to rush to file in their nominations. And if anybody that is smart can take note of all of these little things going forward for the parties, then it means that we will not be talking about, okay, this person rigged to win in an election. Then anybody can actually use those technical issues to the areas where any party could have failed to meet up with, the legal process to actually nail that political party, which is a very beautiful lesson for every one of us. So it is my hope that going forward, political parties will also be more cautious. They will take their time to also follow.
Because they're also giving opportunities to parties, to rivals of the opposition, and to look further.
Look further, yes, because it's no longer about you rigged to win. There are so many other areas, loopholes that can be used.
The way the Ondo election went, there was no way Jegede's appeal or Jegede's petition could have succeeded
even if
based on the conduct of the election. The election was transparent. Yes, there was vote buying and all that. That one has now painfully become a culture in our country. But there was electronic transmission. They trialed it in Edo, Nasarawa, and Ondo, and it succeeded. People were able to log on to INEC's portal to monitor the progress of the election. So Jegede could not have said, oh, the election was rigged against me, rigged in favor of the APC. No, because everyone, just like we had it in in Edo, the election was free and fair. People could monitor the results from their polling stations.
Could also come back with their own evidence.
And it will not...
Even though he said he had more than 200 witnesses that could have testified on that issue.
On intimidation and all that. Those things are extremely difficult to prove. But the election went well in terms of the way it was conducted. The electronic transmission made it more transparent. So he had to look for a chink in the armor of the ruling party, and that chink was the issue of improper nomination of Jegede. I mean of Akeredolu.
Right, and Governor Akeredolu himself has spoken. He has spoken congratulating the party and most importantly appreciating the judiciary. But he has also invited Mr. Jegede. These are two top lawyers, yes, in their rankings, and rightly so. He has invited him to join in building the state, moving the state forward. I congratulate
the man with the white beard, because even in his own ruling, in his own party, there were many governors who were praying for Akeredolu to lose, praying for him to lose, right, not knowing that if he lost, it will have had a tremendous negative impact on the party.
And everyone will be affected.
Every step that Buni had taken could then be inviolated.
All right, we have to rest the discussion at this point. We'll be back for more on Journalist Hangout right after this break. Please stay with us. Time now to talk about the state of the nation on Journalist Hangout. Welcome back. From education, infrastructure to the economy, that the impact of rising insecurity in Nigeria's is multifaceted is no longer in doubt. One of its aftermath is the spike in prices of essential commodities like food across the country. Farmers in Abuja say they have abandoned their farmlands for fear of being kidnapped or killed by bandits and criminal herdsmen, and this is now a major threat to food security. One of the farmers, who is the national president of the Potato Farmers Association of Nigeria, says he can no longer go to his farm located at Gaube community of Kuje due to rising cases of kidnapping. Meanwhile, bandits are running rampant in Edo State. Suspected kidnappers ambushed and kidnapped 7 officers of the Nigerian Navy along the Sapele-Warri Road. The State Police Public Relations Officer Kuntong Spello says the command has rescued 5 of the officers who were traveling from Kaduna to Delta State. No matter where you pick up this discussion from, either from the food angle or the fact that even operatives themselves are increasingly becoming the targets, it all borders on the state of insecurity in the country. But let's begin with food. This is not just in Abuja, this is all over the country.
Yeah, I think for some months now, we've had different kinds of media reports on soaring prices of foodstuffs in Nigeria. If you talk to farmers, for instance, and when I say farmers, I mean all kinds of farmers, poultry farmers, and all sorts, they will tell you that they are not finding it funny at all. Grains that is very essential in poultry feed production, the cost has gone haywire. The price of a crate of egg increased from 900 naira to 1,600 naira as we speak, and that is within a space of probably 3 to 4 months. And if you look at that alone, it gives you an idea of the kind of problem we are contending with right now. And this is in addition to the poverty level in Nigeria as a whole. In 2020, according to the World Bank, over 7 million people were pushed to the poverty line because of the pandemic and the fall in the prices of oil in Nigeria. And as we speak, 1 out of 3 Nigerian children suffer from malnutrition, which means that even on a good day, we are not even there. So now imagining a crisis point of famine, which we are gradually getting into right now. So it's a big problem for us as a nation. But unfortunately, the sad part of it for me is the fact that we don't seem to even understand the enormity of the problem at hand. Because when you have a situation where farmers are not safe to go to their farms, what do you expect? It means that, you know, we can have different kinds of problems, but the problem of farming is a big problem. I have heard the president say that a couple of times, just that he has identified the problem, maybe because he is a farmer himself and is also close to farmers. And I've seen him also of recent trying to you know, do things to encourage farmers to keep on farming. But what the president probably does not understand well is the fact that it is not about the encouragement you give to farmers. It is about the security of these farmers in their farms. If you cannot do something that will make their lives safe and secure in these farms, no matter the kind of support, financial or otherwise, it's not going to work. Now, coming back to the issue of naval officers being abducted.
Let me put you on hold now. We'll come to this issue, but let me compare your comments now with that of BKO, with Abuja also, you know, reeling from this national burden. Yes. Where do we go from here?
We are in a bind. And the earlier we realize that and stop fooling ourselves, the better. The communities around the federal capital, they are under siege from kidnappers. Communities like Buhari, Trungamaje, you know, Gwagwalada, people are being kidnapped. Some school proprietors had to hurriedly shut down their schools in the Buhari area for fear of attack by bandits. So I'm not surprised that people who have farmlands in those areas, they are now complaining that they can't go to farm as much as they would have wanted, because people get picked up in their farms. Remember the special assistant to the governor of Ondo State on agriculture that we interviewed when we were doing our tomato story. The man said, look, our oil plantation, we employed young people, and these guys came and kidnapped 5 of them. That's going to a government farm to kidnap workers. What is the fate of the ordinary man? Because the government farm, you can even put soldiers there, put policemen there, you have the money to try and secure the place. But the ordinary man who has his farm, where he makes a little money just to put body and soul together, they are not allowing people to farm. In places like Kebbi, Katsina, Zamfara, they force you to part with money in exchange for peace. If you want to have access to your farms, pay so amount of money, which is similar to what Boko Haram is doing in areas that they control in Borno State. They force you to pay taxes. If you are not ready to pay taxes, you will be beheaded. This is what is going on. Now, as I've said before, we need to crush these bandits, identify where they are. If it's 6 months that it will take us to crush them, let's face these guys squarely so that we can have our lives back. Why are people surprised that prices of foodstuff are going up? Because people can't access the farms. Every time you go to the market to talk to people who sell these things, they tell you that insecurity is the major driver of an uptick in food prices. The people who sell, even the farmers will tell you, it's no longer something that we can gloss over. Insecurity is a very big problem for us as a nation, and it's impacting badly on prices. You can say tomato, okay, after some time the price will go down. Can you say the same thing of beans? Beans is the most costly
right now
grain in our country at this time. According to Punch report, the price of grains of beans has gone up by 254%. The price of tomato has gone up by 125%. The price of rice, we spend so much money, CBN assisting farmers tremendously. In spite of that, the price of rice has gone up by over 50%. Yet we praise ourselves that we have overtaken Egypt as Africa's #1 rice producer. Of course, Egypt took the right step. They are suffering from inadequate water, so they now give money. They give money to farmers to move away from rice farming and move into wheat, so that they use less water. That's how we were able to overtake them.
Right. Andrew is from Abuja. Andrew is joining us from Abuja. Good evening, welcome.
Yeah, good evening. Baba Jegede, good evening, and Madam in the studio, good evening.
Good evening.
I actually want to talk about the insecurity in Abuja.
Oh, great.
Carry on, please.
Yes. My cousin was kidnapped in Kuje on Wednesday last week. And Baba Jegede, we paid 14 million naira for his release on Sunday. And they even requested for us to buy half bag of rice, beans, 20 liters of red oil, bread, and everything.
In addition to the money,
we have, when we were going to drop the ransom, you see 3 military checkpoints, and the bandits opened their mouth and told us that those military people cannot do anything. But on Sunday, I never believed such a thing till my cousin, he lives in my house, was kidnapped. We even had to use our cars to borrow money. In Abuja here.
Wow.
Thank you very much, Adro, for your contribution.
In your Jenny's voice. So,
Dr. BC, this is far from funny, but you can just imagine huge ransom, and then they're now asking, they're now demanding for food. They're now demanding for food. It also even buttresses what has been said, established here, that of course this food crisis is affecting so many of us, is affecting almost everyone. But looking at the fact that even soldiers themselves, even operatives themselves are also being targeted, it's good to know that at least this one, in this case now of the naval officers, about 5 of them have been released. But what solutions?
They kidnapped two in Maiduguri, Damaturu Highway. They kidnapped 2 soldiers.
That is even a fresh. That's even a fresh one. But what solutions do you want to see?
He said something that I want us to take note of. He said when they were coming, they saw a military checkpoint, and the kidnappers told them that they can't do anything for them, which means that these criminals do not have any form of respect or regard whatsoever for our security agencies. That is that is a serious indictment on our security outfit. And of course, in this particular case of naval officers being kidnapped, the police public relations officer has come out to say that those people that were kidnapped were actually students of the naval school in Edo. But does it make any difference? And also, when he was talking, he said they were kidnapped, they were taken away by hoodlums. Imagine the use of hoodlum. And that is the way we have been using these different kinds of narratives, calling terrorist bandits. That is what we've been doing, you know. Okay, hoodlums took away school, naval students, you know. And as the police, we are still telling us
to tell us that they can't kidnap soldiers.
Exactly.
They kidnap soldiers, they kidnap policemen.
And you are still telling us with the same mouth that even the people kidnapped, you are still struggling to locate where they are. The hoodlums are so powerful. You see, we just need to be more serious in this country.
Let's turn our focus now to health. And in the midst of the resurgence of the COVID-19 pandemic, Nigeria is battling yet another outbreak, this time of another contagious disease in many states of the country. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control, the NCDC, has now declared that the country has entered a cholera season as the number of deaths has hit 529 in 18 states. And this report by the NCDC on the cholera situation shows some of the states affected to include Kano with 123 deaths attributed. Sokoto has recorded 86 reportedly, Bauchi 42, Bayelsa 25, Plateau 21, amongst other 18 states. BKO, what are your thoughts on this?
Oh, it just underlines the need for us to move quickly. We should have gone past this stage.
Absolutely.
It's symptomatic of our underdevelopment that this kind of ailment will be killing people. Will be killing people the way it's killing people. It shows that we are really vulnerable, and that's why some of us have been pleading that we should handle COVID-19, especially the Delta variant, better, because if we were to face a full-blown outbreak, we will not be able to handle the situation. We don't have enough hospitals, we don't have enough bed spaces. Our health system is in a very bad state. We are among the worst in the world. So we just have to move quickly. Our country is still one of the worst in the world when we are talking about open defecation. Ourselves, India, and a few other countries, we are in the ignoble class of countries where open defecation is still liberally practiced. So, and these are the things that cause cholera, for example, when you defecate in the open, and the vector touches the food that you are going to eat, naturally can lead to cholera. And what our health authorities need to do is go to these frontline states, these states that are badly hit by this cholera outbreak, and begin to nip the problem in the bud. And it's so easy to find out whether someone is suffering from cholera or not, because the symptoms are common: vomiting, leg cramps, restlessness, irritability, rapid heart rate, watery stool, and all that. Where this is discovered, there must be a kind of rapid response to the problem. You must quickly take care of the people concerned. 529 lives is a lot. We just happen to be in a country where death is so cheap that we do not even, we hear of 500 and something lives lost to cholera, and it doesn't even, it's no longer newspaper headline. How can it be newspaper headline when bandits kill 88 persons in Kebbi State in one day? In one day, just a few communities in the Zuru area, 88 persons killed. So 529. It moved from 325 to 529 within days.
This is
so
just one
how
condition.
many people are we going to lose to cholera before we take the right steps to nip this in the bud?
Absolutely.
It's shameful for people to read that cholera is still killing people, and killing people at such an alarming rate in our country, in this modern age.
But it also
shouldn't be happening.
To our attitude as a people. Of course, the government's role is key, but when you look at the nature of some of these diseases, for example, it could also be argued that people don't seem to have a choice. But how would you address the nature of people? Because budgets would be released, would be given out, and then an amount of money would be given to informing the public as to good behaviors or good culture to imbibe. But cholera, like BKO said, you see somebody defecating in public, knowing full well that, and this is the rainy season again. So how do you view the nature of we as a people?
You cannot take that nature away from the from what is available to the people. Let me put it that way. For example, where do you want people to do their thing if there are no public toilets?
No structures.
If there are no public toilets, you know that if you travel, for instance, you want to go from a place like Houston to Dallas, maybe a journey of probably 2.5 hours. You know how many restrooms you see along that road where you can actually settle down, take care of yourself.
Convenience.
You know, and but here you go to major markets. Do they have public toilets? How many major markets in Nigeria have that? Even I know that in Lagos some could have, but in the other parts of the country, how many of them do have? Where they are available, how many of them have running water, for example?
To wash hands. Indeed.
And water is
and
very,
to drink.
yes, water is very essential. How should we be talking about lack of water when this whole world is supposed to be 3/4 water? Why is it that in our own case, we are still struggling with water? In Dubai, it doesn't rain. In fact, when it rains, they have to induce the rain with chemicals. Yet, you cannot go to Dubai and feel any sense of thirst. Water is everywhere, up to the point that they even have plants all over the place, green plants all over, the plants that they water every day with water. So what is the problem with Nigeria? I think we need to still take it back to our leaders. The people could have problems, but let's build these toilets.
Facilities.
Let's provide water, and let's see if people will not use water, for example, to wash their hands, or if they will not drink good water, if good water is available. Maybe we will see people that will leave good water and go to the stream to drink where cows drink from. Or are we going to see people that will leave toilets
in their water, the same water they drink. The same
water they drink, or they will not leave toilets to go and defecate outside. You get it? So I think it's a combination of things. I think the authorities should solve their own problems first. Then we can now go back to talk to people to change their habits. But for now, it's a shame that water, a disease that is caused by poor water,
as basic as water
is and hygiene, yes, is killing people. It will have been understandable if it is just a disease that we don't even know the cause. You know, that it just happened, or
a disease that is just projecting itself for the first time.
Yes.
This is yearly. This has become a yearly issue.
Yeah. For as long as I have been born.
Yes,
you can imagine.
Indeed,
that's
in
where
schools, indeed,
you expect the NCDC to do a much better job. We are not saying people, why should people die? People will die. It's a fact of life that people will die. But to be losing as much as 529 and still counting, 529 to something, to an avoidable disease like cholera.
BK, I'll get back to you. Let's accommodate Agbenga from Abuja. Please join me in the conversation. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Benga from Abuja.
Good evening, Mr. Agbenga.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Jegede and the guest there. Issue of cholera in Abuja is really an issue. Abuja is one of the states where we have cholera outbreak. And what we observe is that for some time now, I don't know what happened, they refuse to carry those beans to part of Abuja.
Oh.
And the environment is very dirty. See somebody frying akara, and you see a drainage flowing out, causing odor. You see somebody frying plantain, roasting corn, and you see heap of dusting here and there. So we see that personal hygiene is lacking. And we don't know what our health officers, what they are doing these days. In those days, they call them wole wole.
Yes.
You hear the name alone.
Yes.
People run eta. They don't do that now. Many
sanitary
houses in Abuja don't have toilets. Abuja suburb, many houses don't have toilets. People defecate everywhere.
Oh.
The open space. And this is rainy season. They wash those things from where those spaces, and the water flow into a canal, from the canal to link another water. They go and fetch water there, or borehole very close to a canal. So you see, the government need to rise up to the occasion. And the issue of banditry or kidnapping in Abuja is very rampant. Kuje area, Buhari area, and Abaji area is very rampant there. And I'm surprised that government, this is the headquarters, should be the most secure place in the whole country. But to our surprise, no, it's not so. Even the issue of the header, by now, government should have established ranches all over Abuja to showcase
their policy to that state. What ranches means, how they should manage it, and the advantage of it.
All right, Mr. Benga, thank you very much for your contributions. We appreciate. Biko, it's still, you know, part of what...
Yes, and just what we have been talking about, and it just added flesh to what that we have been saying. The dire situation of things in the federal capital. It's worrisome that Abuja could be among the states, I mean, the areas that are worst hit by this. Even Nasarawa, 17 deaths, Bauchi, 42, you know. It's terrible. It's terrible.
All right. Well, BKO, we thank you so much for your contributions on the program. And Dr. DC Olavisi Deji Folutile, thank you so much for your robust analysis of all our topics up for discussion today. And thanks to everyone that joined in the conversation, all our callers, and included, not excluding our viewers. Of course, thanks for keeping us company on Journalist Hangout today. Don't forget to join us again tomorrow for another episode of the program. And don't forget to join us on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout Sunday Special. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Kemi Folade, and more from all of us here. Thanks for watching. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.